Vanakkam. Welcome to this course on classics in neuroscience. We have been looking at the classic Nobel Prize winning works. In particular, in this series, we have been looking at the major contributions of Robert Barany that led to his winning of the Nobel Prize 1914 in physiology or medicine, because he explained the relationship, causal relationship between vertigo and ear-brain connections, and helped us improve our understanding of the physiology of the brain's balance system of the semicircular canal and how did it work. So, in this class we will look at modern applications of Barany's contributions in space medicine and in training of astronauts. So, Barany was the first to suggest that gravity influences inner ear function and spatial orientation. So, even now I requested you to check a place maneuver. When you check, that maneuver essentially exploits gravity to push those calcium carbonate crystals inside the utricle. And it's beyond the scope of this class to explain better, but you can check this a place maneuver. A place maneuver and BPPV. What is BPPV? Benign paroxysmal positional vertigo. Barany was among the first or one of the first to suggest that gravity essentially influences inner ear function and spatial orientation. So, his discoveries of how vestibular compensation happens influenced space agencies' understanding of how astronauts will experience dizziness and disorientation in space, because in space there is no gravity, there is just microgravity in space or zero gravity. His results contributed to development of specific training protocols to prevent astronauts from getting motion sickness in space. Why is it important? Because astronauts will experience dizziness and disorientation and nausea quite often in zero gravity, because the sensory system responsible for orientation detection, the semicircular canal, is adapted to gravity, and gravity to a great extent plays a causal role in the sense of orientation that people have. In space, this orientation will be lost. Recall that what we have inside the body, this extraordinary biological gyroscope, is the result of millions of years of evolution, whereas space travel is something that evolution is not adapted to. Space travel is something that evolution did not prepare for. So, that means your training protocol of the astronauts must include specific training for this, because this is I have mentioned this many times, I will say this again, this is an extraordinarily reliable system for detection of orientation, the head orientation in particular. So, when there is a sensory dissonance that causes an extraordinary amount of dizziness, vertigo and motion sickness, because of this dissonance or disagreement between what the eye is seeing and what the inner ear is detecting. And this feeling can be quite intense. It's not something that you can just dismiss, it's an intense feeling. So, his work helped space agencies such as NASA to design specific countermeasures or training protocols to help astronauts to adapt better in space travel. Right. So, his approaches, his discoveries are still used by NASA and the European Space Agency and SpaceX and other space travelers to train astronauts for space missions. They nowadays what is used in, they use virtual reality based astronaut training simulators, wherein they adapt to this. For example, here is a modern adaptation of Barany's chair, in which the person is sitting, in which the astronaut is sitting, and then the chair is rotating, and the astronaut is seeing the movement in the VR headset. This is the vestibular system, the semicircular canals that are responsible for detecting the rotational motion, and essentially Barany's work showed that balance issues originate in the specifically in the inner ear, not specifically, not broadly in the brain. Explained the manner in which the how of this happened, right? Provided the specific methods and approaches to study for dizziness and vertigo. So with this we come to the end of this video. In this video we looked at modern applications of Barany's principles or Barany's discoveries in training astronauts and in space medicine. Thank you for your attention.